I'm finding out about all this chaos, this heart factory, this mud. Like, I'm so excited to see the final product of the mud. Hey guys, it's Briar of Briar Chats and welcome back to my channel. If you like honest opinions, trash talking, and the occasional dad joke, stick around because I think we will get along. If you maybe didn't notice, I haven't posted in a couple weeks. I'm assuming for those of you who don't follow me or maybe have muted me on Instagram, which valid and fair. Yes, me, Briar Chats, was one of the lucky ones. You're the lucky one who got to go to the Eras Tour in Sydney. I went to Sydney night one, a little commotion for Sydney night one. Yes, thank you. And then I got sick. And no, I did not get sick from the Eras Tour, shockingly. Not me. I was better than that, but apparently not better than a common cold. So take that for what you will, but that is not really that relevant to what I wanted to chat to you guys about today. Well, I guess it was kind of a setup, a punchline, if you will, for how I ended up watching and having the time to watch these movie, documentary, movesicles that we are going to be talking about in this video and my next video. Because while sick, I was informed that Miss Jenny from the block, she has released some media to the public, and she released it with her full chest, and that was The Greatest Love Story Never Told, a documentary movie about her movie musical, her movesicle, if you will, titled This Is Me Now, which is in collaboration, artistification with her 9th studio album, This Is Me Now. Why don't I take one for the team and watch this documentary movie and this movie musical, this movesicle, if you will, and then we can chat about it. So in today's video, even though it was released the other way around, I watched the documentary first. And I feel like that was actually correct. I know Miss Jennifer Affleck released it the other way around. She released the movesicle first and then the documentary, but I enjoyed the way I watched it and the order I watched it in. Maybe enjoy is a stretch. I think I watched it in the correct order. So I wanted to talk about the documentary in this video, and then depending on how fast my editor you dumb can edit these videos, in the next video we'll talk about the movesicle. So with all of that yapped about, let's simply get into chatting about this documentary that Jennifer Lopez has made about her movie musical movesicle, The Greatest Love Story Never Told. Stick around and let's get into it. Now look, even though Miss Jenny from the block, or I guess she's Mrs. Jenny from the block now, is a celebrity, she's still a human being, okay? And we're not here to tear her down unnecessarily, but am I going to question some of these cinematic decisions as an uneducated girly pop on the internet? Well, yes, of course. However, it's not with malicious intent. I'm not here to hurt her feelings or tear her down. This isn't a schmear campaign. We're not here to hateritis on her. Let's just say, like, I am critical of cinema. I enjoy such films as everything that Hilary Duff has starred in. I want you guys to know, like, my girly pop brain, like where it's coming from, its kind of taste and appreciation for the situation, just to lay the groundwork that, like, if you're looking for like a critical film review, not me, but if you're looking for like a girly pop to chat about this documentary with, welcome, sit down, grab a snack, grab a drink. Before we get into the recap of it all, let's kind of set the scene, shall we? The Greatest Love Story Never Told was just released on Feb 27th, so it was released after, and I kind of understand why they did it in the order that they did, but I also disagree with it because I chose to watch it the other way around, because to me, I wouldn't have understood the movesicle or looked out for things in the movesicle the way that I did because of this documentary. So it is a 90-minute documentary. This is what it says on the IMDb. Basically, it says behind the scenes with Jennifer Lopez as she independently produces a new album that explores her 20-year journey to self love. The greatest love story never told, behind the scenes of a dream. So it sounds like, you know, excellent. We're getting a window into the making of, but I kind of also expected maybe a bit more of a behind the scenes of this self-love journey. And did we get it? Well, let's simply get into it. On IMDb currently, it has a 6.3 out of 10. Not slayification, but it's not awful. And it does have over 400 reviews, so people are sharing their opinions. That's kind of all we need to know. Like, I don't even think I knew that much when I clicked play on this little documentary. So we're really thrown into the deep end with this one because we start off strong. JLO is setting the scene by talking about the fact that she felt like a lot of people were looking at her. What am I even saying? She felt like a lot of people were looking at her saying, what's this woman's problem? Like, what is wrong with you? Why do you keep getting married? Like, why do you keep putting a ring on it? I think she's been married 4 times, but she's been engaged more than this. She's been engaged 6 times. Okay, so like, yeah, I feel like maybe I do not have the best like perception on what the public opinion was at the time because I was but a child. Like, I was playing with my Bratz dolls. Like, I was not really partaking in celebrity gossip in the early 2000s. And like, that's on me. Like, that's a personal character flaw of myself, and I acknowledge that. But so to me, I'm like, I didn't really know that there was that much scrutiny of her, and I'm not questioning it, but she really felt it. I feel like the most important thing about it is that she felt the scrutiny, and she felt that everyone was looking at her like, what the heck is wrong with the silly goose? Like, she needs to stop getting engaged and get back to the pond. She kind of tried to play it off as it's not that deep, it's not that serious. Like, I don't know what everyone's problem is. It's fine, I'm fine. But she wasn't fine. Spoiler alert, newsflash, she wasn't fine. At the same time, we're having clips of the movesicle. I've coined it that. I don't know if anyone else is calling it a movesicle, but I insist on calling it that. So she has this crazy like love heart dress, and like, look, if there's one thing that you need to know about JLO, she has a hot bod and she will insist on showing it off. So it has like these 2 heart cutouts. It's quite risque, quite scandalous, especially for a wedding dress. But she's kind of dancing with it, and it's with all these different guys, and it's kind of like we're getting glimpses, we're getting clips of it all. And then we kind of get introduced to the CD that she released in 2002 called This Is Me Then, which, by the way, my mother loved that CD or album, and sure, I wasn't partaking in the gossip, but I loved that album. I had that on repeat. Like, my mum played it, so I listened to it. I was listening to that album like in preparation for this video, and I was like, why, yes, I do know all of these words. Like, I wouldn't have been able to tell you their names of the songs, but every song I listened to from the album, I was like, well, of course I know her. That is my childhood right there. We kind of are understanding that this album, this 9th album, is a completion story from This Is Me Then to This Is Me Now. Yes, she's releasing her album, but she wants to do more, and she feels very compelled to share her story with us about love, about her love story, and how she got to This Is Me Now. We then find out that Mr. Ben Affleck is a little bit of a romantic, like, because he kept all of their love letters. Over 18 years of them being apart, which is kind of interesting and concerning, and I don't know how to feel about it all, but we have to just process it later, I guess. He gave her a box full of all their love letters, notes, everything that they exchanged, and she just had it in the studio, and she was just full on sharing it with everyone. We then cut to Ben being like, you're showing everyone the love letters? Oh, I feel like this is an interesting thing between Ben and JLO, Ben and Jen. He is very private and she is very not. He is very much trying to be accepting of her wanting to share this. He does acknowledge, you know, the ironicness. Isn't it ironic that this is titled The Greatest Love Story Never Told, and it is being told? She has decided that she doesn't just want to make music videos for the album. She wants to make a musical movie, which is why I've coined it the movesicle, because she feels like it's a bigger story than just a music video, you know, so it needs to reflect the size of the story. I don't know. She feels compelled, okay? We then throughout the movie start meeting people that have been through her life, her managers, as well as the people helping with the project. So a little shout out to Paris Goebel, a Kiwi choreographer. She is a slay queen, an icon, a legend, the moment. If you have not heard of Paris Goebel, yes you have, because you watched the Rihanna Super Bowl. We then find out that initially this project had a funder. We don't know who. The tea is being spilled, but names are not being given. And the tea is this. They had a funder. They were going to put $30 million into this movesicle. And then they were like, actually, movesicles are yuck. No one likes them. Everyone has musical hateritis, and therefore we do not want to give you $30 million. No way. Sorry. And then they pulled their money, and so JLO is left with this decision to decide what to do. She says she wants to share this story, but her actions are saying like she needs to share this story, because this is when we find out that she decides that she will self-fund the project This Is Me Now. So she is putting $20 million. I struggle to spend $20. So I cannot even imagine how she would have felt being like, yeah, sure, have $20 million to fund my dreams. A little bit of an aside, I don't know where to put it in, so I'm just going to put it in here. JLO loves a bedazzled Starbucks cup. Like at first I thought she just had the same one a lot, but I think it's actually lots of different ones. Was it one of those things where she had one cup and so people just started giving them to her? Did she just ask for a bunch of cups? What is the background story? Like this is, to me, this is the greatest story never told, is how did JLO end up with all these bedazzled cups? I simply need to know more, but we never find out the truth. So we must continue on with the greatest love story never told. This is a fully funded project that JLO is doing from the heart and from the wallet because she believes in it that much. Choices were made in both this documentary and the movesicle, and a choice that was made with its whole chest was that we have a like meeting money montage with the backtrack of Ice Ice Baby. That is a choice. We couldn't have gone with Don't Be Fooled by the Rocks I've Got. I'm still Jenny from the block. Used to have a little, now I have a lot. We couldn't have used our own discography. We couldn't have found something on This Is Me Then or This Is Me Now. We are starting to learn about the different scenes that are going to be happening in the movesicle. And let's just say you are left with more questions than answers, because we have a scene that has a heart factory. There's a lot of talk about the right type of mud. It needs to be like sloppy and wet. A glass house, and the heart factory eats petals. Like, you're confused? I'm fucking confused. I don't know what's happening. Like, what's going on? I don't know. But we are finding out a lot, but not much at the same time, if you know what I mean. Another thing I did want to note is I do appreciate that we have a lot of scenes with JLO without makeup. And look, I know for sure, like for sure, she is without makeup, is not without money, cosmetic, you know, what's the word, dermatologist, you know, all of that jazz. But I do appreciate that she is in a lot of these scenes not wearing makeup. It is a documentary, so yeah, it should be a little bit more candid. And I even appreciate the showing of the putting in the hair extensions. And this documentary, yeah, it's going to give us the tea. And the one thing that I find interesting about JLO is she's very happy to speak about other people. She talks about how she had a choreographer pull out because it was on a dance number, a part of the movesicle, where it was in reference to, or maybe speculatively in reference to her ex-husband Mark Anthony, and he is friends, he is in fact besties with him. So he's like, I don't want to, no thank you, like that's just a boundary I don't want to cross. And she's kind of like, I get it, I respect it, but like, are you sure? She really does like to push people's boundaries. Like she really will ask, but he stood firm. And I just feel like I'm sitting here like, what's this movesicle gonna say about Mr. Mark? Like, nervous. And this is when we get our first bit of unintentional comedy, I would say, from this documentary, because we get a clip of them talking about all the people that have said no to being a part of the movesicle, because JLO wants a star-studded cameo cast and she's fighting for her life to get it, let's just say that. So I wanted to show you this clip of them talking about everyone that has said no to being in the project.
Taylor Swift is a no. Jason Momoa's not available, Jennifer Coolidge not available, Lizzo not available.
So he's doing Succession 2 and The Lion King and Star Wars Andor 2, so he's not necessarily he's not available, but he loves you.
Do you want Vanessa Hudgens, by the way? I was thinking about that. One of the
She's
friends.
not available.
Oh, never mind. It'd be good to get Bad Bunny to do a little cameo as the bad kid.
Oh, The Wrong Again? That would be good.
Question becomes, if Trevor's there, do you want James Corden too, or is okay, right?
Ariana Grande's unavailable. She's in London until September. Snoop's not available, unfortunately.
I don't want to force anybody to do this who doesn't go, this is going to be fun. Nobody wants to say no to me, Benny. I get that. But when an actor doesn't like a script or doesn't think it's good enough or is worried about it, that's what they'll say. I know that. I've done it. I mean, I know Val was available, but I want you to call Derek. And we need him for like 1 or 2 days.
It's a wedding, Dave. He's in a wedding. It's a wedding. He's not going to give up his wedding. I mean,
Whose wedding?
Benny, it's a wedding he's in. He can't, unfortunately, it's where it's landing.
I want you to call him.
Okay.
And I'm sure a lot of you guys thought the same, but the whole time I was watching that scene, all I could think of was this.
Every single invitation to this event has been declined.
What? Let me take a look at this. Are you joking me? Hold on. Barack Obama said no? Lady Gaga said no? Oprah Winfrey said no? Oh my God, Macklemore said no!
It was giving a little bit unintentional comedy. And that's also kind of what I mean by she's very happy to speak on behalf of other people, the people that said no. She's very happy to call out these people that have said no to her project for whatever reason. And I think it is an interesting take of hers to be like, are they saying no because they're busy? Or are they saying no because this movesicle is maybe not giving what I'm hoping it's going to give? And I guess time will tell. Now I have to play you another scene because I'm sorry, after that scene we then quickly have this next scene, and this documentary was very quickly starting to feel a bit mockumentary for me. Like it was starting to feel like it wasn't real. Like, is this real? It's feeling a little bit comical. Like, am I being pranked? I'll just show it to you and you guys can decide for yourselves.
And then there's the personal story of Ben and I that has never been told. I don't think he's very comfortable with me doing all of this, but he loves me. He knows I'm an artist and he's gonna support me in every way he can because he knows this. He can't stop me from making the music I made and writing the words that I wrote. He can't, and that's gonna happen. And he doesn't want to stop me. He wants to do that, but that doesn't mean he's, kind of comfortable being the muse and being.
Jen was really inspired by this experience, which is how artists do their work. They get inspired, their personal life, it moves you. I know as a writer, a director, I certainly do the same things. But things that are private, I had always felt, are sacred and special because, in part, they're private. So this was something of an adjustment for me.
The juxtaposition of them talking about something very serious, which is him coming around to the idea of her sharing their love story. And she's just dancing with an umbrella, like it's giving hee and haha. I'm sorry. Whoever was in that editing room, I think they have a sense of humor. Like, I have some questions. Can I ask you a question? This is not something that I expected to happen from this documentary. Ben is really truly in the trenches, he is immersive experiencing. What's that lady that went and lived with the chimpanzees? He is really truly trying to understand Jen and where she's coming from and why she wants to share this experience. And it made me kind of like him, question mark. Because look, I'm not a Ben Affleck hater, but I've never been a Ben Affleck fan. I'm just kind of indifferent. So to see him fully understand Jen and want to understand Jen and let her share things about him that he would have never otherwise shared, I don't know, it just said a lot. And I was like, why am I feeling these feelings right now? I'm a little bit confused. We also find out throughout this documentary that Jen is really trying to get Jane Fonda to be one of the cameos because they are besties from Monster-in-Law, like they really love each other, but Jane is just a little bit concerned. And she finds her and Ben's relationship to be a little bit performative, and I'm sure she can kind of tell that it's more from Jen's side because, as we've seen, Ben is pretty private, and Jen's trying to tell her this isn't a performance, that's just us being in love, like we just get packed in love, you know, like. And Jane just kind of had this perspective that it just feels like we're constantly being told that they're in love as opposed to it just being. It's quite funny because the common theme throughout this documentary is that people are very concerned about this movesicle. People don't want to be a part of it. We're having these funding issues. All of her staff is very concerned, is very hesitant, is very worried. And I'm like, are we all talking about a movesicle? Even if it sucks. It's a movesicle. It shouldn't be a surprise to me that celebrities care about how they're perceived and if people like their work. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise, but it's just crazy to me how much of a storyline this is in the documentary because everyone's talking about perception. Everyone's talking about how Jen is perceived, how she was perceived, how she acts to continue to be perceived, how she will be perceived through this movesicle, and I'm just like, I get that you don't want to hear bad things about yourself, but also like, so what? You're still a rock star? I don't know. Interestingly, they do show sides of Jen that don't particularly paint her in the best light, I would say, because there is this scene where they arrive on set and nothing is ready and she is pissed. And fair enough, nothing's ready, you expected it to be ready, that's freaking annoying. But so if she's blocked out that day to be on set dancing and then all of a sudden it can't happen, she's all of a sudden like, I've got to go. Like all of a sudden I'm very busy, and like there are so many people that have questions that she needs to answer. She's literally getting in her car driving away and they're like, but Jen, which is your favorite type of mud? And like she's like, babe, and it's bizarre. Like you can tell that she is very particular and has a very particular vision, so they know that, and they know that she's the one that needs to choose and make those choices. Yet she's literally like, I'm so sorry, babe, like waving out the window, like driving away, like that mud with more water, thank you, like acting as if they are burdening her with questions that she needs to answer. It was very odd. I found that very odd. The other theme that it kind of keeps continuing throughout this documentary, and why I'm kind of glad I watched it first, is because there's this big emphasis on like, this is not a music video. This is a music video. Musical movie, you know. I'm kind of glad I watched this first because then I can really go into the lens of like, when I watch it, is it giving movesicle or is it giving multiple music videos? And JLO feels very compelled with this movesicle, that, you know, with her story and with her album, that she needs to tell the story that, yeah, love exists. And now we have kind of had all this build up, we've, you know, set the scene, we've put all our dominoes in place, and now we're going to watch them cascade in a line because production has started now in this documentary. So we're starting to see them actually film this movesicle now. But we still have the storytelling throughout, and one of the things that Jen talks about is that not having a successful love story felt like a failure to her, and you get the understanding that being in love and having successful love is very important to her and her identity, and perhaps that is why this story is so important for her to tell. I'm sure Ben was also heartbroken when they broke up literally 3 days before they got married, but like they both moved on. Jen married Mark Anthony like 5 months after her and Ben broke up, and as we all know, Ben Affleck went on to marry Jennifer Garner. Maybe his type is just woman named Jen, we'll never know. Regardless, he's just very shocked that their breakup was such a catalyst for all the things in her life. And he's like, you know, we have to forgive ourselves and we have to forgive each other. And then it's like, he's like, do you forgive me? Scene change. I was aghast. But I couldn't even have time to be aghast because we're getting into it. I'm finding out about all this chaos, this heart factory, this mud. Like, I'm so excited to see the final product of the mud. And we finally get to meet the celebrities that said yes to being the cameos. And may I say, this is the most chaotic group of celebrities I think I've ever seen, because it turns out that Jen is obsessed with signs, specifically the zodiacs and star signs. And so she wants all of these celebrities to be star sign cameos. I'm starting to understand why, because it's giving literal, I think. And so anyway, we find out that we have Sofia Vergara, Keke Palmer, Kim Petras. That's all sounding all right so far, I guess. I mean, bit random, but sure. Post Malone, Trevor Noah, Neil deGrasse Tyson, some guru that we find out costs $200,000 to be in a music video, sir. That's insane. And it does feel pretty ironic to me that somehow JLO has made Neil deGrasse Tyson dress up as a zodiac. I think he was Taurus. I'm sorry, it was feeling satirical and comical to me. We also start to get the backstory of Jen and her early childhood, where she was a middle child and she felt very neglected. She wasn't the cool oldest or the baby youngest, like she was just in the middle. She was Malcolm in the middle, Jen in the middle. And equally like her parents, she felt like neither of them loved her, and so she felt from a very young age this need for validation and external validation and love. And I feel like, yeah, that does add up. Initially, she did that through sports and winning things, and then she did that through becoming a celebrity where she got rewarded, attention, all of that stuff. She did not want to be alone. Like, being alone was yucky, blech, horrible, disgusting, nasty. And again, we have Jane Fonda being very concerned about being in this, but she eventually convinces her to do it. I can't remember which star sign she convinces her to be. You also just kind of get the feeling that throughout JLo's life, like, people give her sound advice of not jumping into relationships, not doing this, doing that, keeping her life private, but she just doesn't want to listen. Like, she doesn't really feel like that is correct. And then the consequences that people warned her about happen, and she's like, well, who could have seen this coming? I don't know. It's very interesting to watch through this documentary. Also, just another aside, but why do dancers dance in those really, like, it's like a top like this, but with floatier arms and a floatier body, but like, she's rehearsing in an outfit like this that's hard to move in, but yet they cut to the clip of the actual dance outfit and she's in a singlet. Like, I don't know. Why do they? I don't know. That's just a thought I had. Anyway, we also see JLo struggling with the fact that now she is a lot older than a lot of her other dancers, struggling with the idea of how to keep up, and like, even if she's at her best shape, which I would say she's definitely like in very good shape, being in that shape, it's still hard for her to keep up with the very young dancers in their 20s and 30s. You know, she puts in a lot of effort and time into being fit and looking good, but she's still struggling in these rehearsals to keep up, if you will. She continuously has this theme of, I don't need to tell this story, I want to tell this story. But the whole time I'm watching the documentary, it feels like she needs to tell the story, like she needs to prove a point. To me, it's kind of just proving what everyone was saying is true. Like, it's kind of proving to me that she doesn't like to be alone, that she struggles being alone. And even with finding self-love, that also came with the caveat of also getting Ben back. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just interesting to me because the kind of revelation, I guess, of the movesicle and the documentary is that you think it's about external love, but it's about internal love. In actuality, it feels like that only happened also because Ben loves her for who he truly is. And you do get that feeling, like you genuinely do get the feeling that he knows who Jen is. He's not like deluded to thinking Jen is a different way to who she is. That kind of just makes you like Ben more. Like, it doesn't really make you think that she loves herself solely and is happy to be on her own. And to be honest, I had completely forgot about the fact that we were left on that cliffhanger where Ben was like, do you forgive me? But we eventually come back to that at the end where she's like, yeah, I forgive you. And it's like, oh, well, that's good. I had kind of forgotten about it because it was like so much had happened in the meantime, but like, yeah, That's good, I'm glad. But then we kind of, the ending of the documentary is confirming that someone, Amazon, bought the movie, the movesicle and the documentary, so it will now be played on streaming. Like, they love it, like, yes, queen. And I feel like this is another theme, that it's like, JLO really does care about what people think of her, and it's really important what people think about her. She wants to be loved, because there's all of these like little unimportant things that get brought up, how many people she's dated, when those pictures of Ben that got taken, when it was like, oh my god, he's not happy with her, like all of those things were brought up as being a really big deal. But like, I feel like in pop culture and media, like those were things that people maybe mentioned at the time, but it's not really something that I feel like people are talking about in the day-to-day. It feels like they give so much weight to what people are saying about them. So it'll be interesting to see how she feels about all of the reactions that she's gotten to the documentary and the movesicle. And then the outro is very like inspirational wisdom, love, yes, you know, you grow, you learn, you live, like growing old means that you get to be wise. And that's kind of the end of the documentary. So I just wrote kind of a couple of things that I felt at the end of the documentary, because I wanted to take them as they were before I watched the movesicle. So I felt like we didn't really learn much about Ben and Jen, or Jen herself, really. Like, I felt like a lot of it was very surface level. I don't feel like I had huge takeaways. I don't feel like it really made me connect to JLO more as a person. Maybe I felt like I learned more about how she feels about herself and her self-perception, but that didn't really make me like her more or connect to her more, unfortunately. You kind of get the feeling that JLO just really loves JLO, because JLO feels like her story is that important, that it's going to change so many people's lives. It's important. She says she wants to tell it, but like you can feel she's compelled. She needs to tell her story. Like, her story is that important that it needs to be shared. And it's kind of coming from that place where like JLO feels like JLO's story is important. Of course, your life is important to you, like you matter to you. Of course you should love yourself. It almost feels quite inflated without having watched the movesicle, like how important her story is to others, if that makes sense. And I just feel like I did not expect this documentary to make me like Ben Affleck more. Like, that was odd and confusing. Like, I don't know that I like him, but I like him more than I did at the beginning of this, which is odd, confusing, and unusual. That's kind of where we leave off. The next video that I post is going to be all about the movesicle, as well as everyone's reception to it, because I feel like people liked this documentary enough. Like I said, it has a 6.3 on IMDb. Like, no one hated it. It's just very like, it's surface level. Like, it's interesting to see the behind the scenes, but it almost felt like a director's cut of the movesicle. Like, it didn't really feel like a documentary. So in the next video we will be talking more about the movesicle, everything that happens in it, and everyone's reception to it, because people had things to say and choices were made. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching, and please let me know in the comments down below what you think of this whole situation. Did you watch the documentary? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Will you watch it because of what I've said about it? Like, it is a documentary. That was 90 minutes that I spent watching it. Yeah, it's true. So I don't know. I would love to know what you guys thought about the documentary. Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I will see you in my next video. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching. If you stayed till the end, you are a real one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to keep up with me between my uploads, I'm on TikTok and Instagram, and I will link my vlog channel down below. But don't you worry, guys, because I'm not funny there either. Bye.